From the Gilbert Hall of Science, the makers of Erector, the world's greatest construction toy, and American Flyer, the world's most realistic electric trains. The only electric trains that run on real two-rail tracks, puff clean white smoke, and give off realistic choo-choo sounds, brings you the Boys Railroad Club, featuring American Flyer trains. Their guest today is a real railroader, Mr. William H. Chidley from the New York Central Railroad. The doors open. The boys are just getting started. So let's go inside and see what's going on.
Toby!
Excuse me.
Toby!
Yes, Mother?
Is Herky down there with you?
Gosh, yes, he's always down here when we run the railroad. He's fooling around with the trains, too.
All right. Send him upstairs right after the meeting.
Okay, Mother. You're lucky. Excuse the intrusion, Mr. Chidley. I was just going to introduce the gang to you. This is Ben, our train dispatcher.
How do you do, Mr. Chidley?
Glad to meet you, Ben.
Same here.
And Steve, our conductor.
Hi.
How are you, Steve?
Fine.
Here's Corky, the engineer.
Hi.
Hello, Corky.
And Herky, my brother, who says he's a fireman.
An engineer, that's what I am.
Well, good luck, Herky. It takes a good man to run a locomotive.
My name's Toby. I'm the president of our railroad.
Glad to meet you,
Glad
Toby.
to meet you.
Where'd you get that piece of three-rail track, Toby?
Oh, I found this old piece of three-rail track upstairs in the attic. It belongs to a train my father had when he was 10 years old.
That's old-fashioned now. We don't want anything but two-rail track on our railroad. Why, Ben, why? Because real railroads run on two-rail track, and we want ours to be just like real. So we gotta have two-rail track.
Sure, we know that. I just wanted to show it to you.
Well, what would you fellas like to have me do?
Tell us about your job on the New York Central, will you?
Sure. I'm a master mechanic on the New York Central at Albany. I have charge of the engine houses in that territory. Engine houses, or roundhouses, as you've probably heard them called, are sort of service stations where locomotives are taken when they're through with the run. There, they're greased, the fire's cleaned, they're given oil, sand, and coal, and they're given a careful inspection before they're sent back to work.
Boy, you must know all about locomotives.
Well, son, I've spent a long time learning.
You want to see our railroad go?
I sure do.
This observation platform is reserved for you, Mr. Chidley.
Thank you.
You can see the whole system from there. Oh, and here's your railroader's cap.
Thank you. This is a real honor.
Come on, fellas. Let's show them part of our general system. Sure.
Come on!
He gave us the highball. We'll start with the Union Terminal. I'll pull in the Pioneer Limited right now. She's late, fellas, so watch your highball through the little town.
Boy, listen to that whistle. Right out of the locomotive. Just like a real locomotive. And look at that smoke puffing out of the smokestack. Listen to that choo-choo sound. Oh, boy, look at that freight on the Ball Mountain grade. The Pioneer Limited is coming in on time. The air brakes are on, and she's heading into the station. Some train. All aboard! Hey, the Pioneer is pulling out. Sure. Didn't you hear the conductor yell, all aboard? That wasn't the conductor. That was Herky. Well, I'm the conductor, aren't I? No, you're a fireman, Herky. You have to be a fireman before you can be a conductor in this club.
Hey, gang, that's all. Let's go back.
Okay.
What do you think of it? That's not all we can do, Mr. Chidley, but that will give you an idea of our railroad.
Sure is convincing, son. Say, Ben, let me see that Hudson locomotive, will you?
It's one of our best locomotives, Mr. Chidley. Boy, we just got this one, and are we proud of it.
Boys, that's a replica of one of the greatest locomotives on the rails today. When it comes to the steam locomotive, I guess I'm an old stick in the mud. The sight of a giant on the rails and the sound of smokestack music gives me a thrill today just as it did when I was your age. You know, a locomotive is the biggest thing that moves on land. When it roars along at 70 miles an hour, it almost makes your hair stand on end. Back in 1927, the New York Central built the Hudson-type steam locomotive. It turned out to be one of the most famous locomotives in the world. $200,000 apiece, and we put 300 of them to work for us. The Hudson is 300 tons of engine, and every ounce of it was designed for the hardest kind of work. Boys, that Hudson never has been beaten for efficiency. This is the Hudson's twin sister, all right. Boiler, cab, driving rods, everything right down to the rivets. Do you boys know what makes a steam locomotive work?
We don't know a whole lot. Will you tell us?
The work starts right in here, in this cylinder. The upper part here is the valve chest, and the lower part the cylinder, with a piston inside. Now imagine you could look inside a simple model of this cylinder. The power stroke begins when the valve allows steam to flow into the cylinder. The steam swells up and pushes the piston to the other end of the cylinder. By that time, the valve is moved again, allowing steam to rush into the cylinder and push the piston back. The pushing and pulling of the pistons is linked to the driving wheels by rods, so the force of the steam is applied to all the wheels at once. A rod connected to the piston runs out here at the rear of the cylinder and pushes against this steel block here called a crosshead. The piston rod pushes against the crosshead, and the crosshead pushes against this main driving rod. The driving rod pushes against this crank pin on the main driving wheel, and the wheel turns. These side rods connect the main driving wheel with the other driving wheels. And when the main driving wheel turns, it makes them all turn.
Boy, you're a real railroader. That's real engineering information.
I wish I had a big locomotive that I could take apart and show you, but this 464 is a good demonstrator.
What's that mean? 464, huh?
Well, I'll try to explain it, Herky. You older fellows probably know this. On the Hudson, there are 4 leading wheels. See? 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. Then there are 3 driving wheels on this side and 3 on the other side. That's 6. In the rear, there are 4 trailing wheels. 2 on this side and 2 on the other. That makes the Hudson a 464 locomotive.
Sure, that's easy. But look at this. What's he up to now? I don't know. Look at this. It doesn't have any leading wheels or trailing wheels.
That's right, Herky. No leading wheels and no trailing wheels. All the weight of the engine is on the 8 driving wheels. That's what makes it a good switching engine, or a good yard goat, as we call it. Well, this is an 080 type. No leading wheels, 8 driving wheels, and no trailing wheels.
Nothing ain't nothing. 080. Oh, boy, I get it.
Say, gang, how about putting on a parade of locomotives for Mr. Chidley?
Ooh, sure, yeah. Well.
Yeah, let's go.
Hey,
Come on, boys. Let's go. Yippee, get this wagon on. Come on, let's go. Come on. Turn on this switch. I gotta check this Hudson before it goes back on the line. Just a second. Okay, fellas, you call out the names of the different engines so Mr. Chidley will know what they are.
The Hudson 464.
The K5 462. The Atlantic 442. The Pacific 462.
The nickel plate switch switcher. 080. The Royal Blue, 462.
Union Pacific Dixie, 484.
Diesel switcher. Santa Fe Diesel.
How do you like it, Mr. Chibley?
That's wonderful, boys.
Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.